Chevy.
Propagating truth in a world of lies. You are listening to the John H. Project.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the Anomic Age, and I am your host, John H. Happy to be back with you once again in the dark side of the AM. Let me check this just a minute. I knew that sucker was going to be screwy. I knew it. I just knew it. That's better. I am your humble host, John H., hailing proudly from the coastal plains of the old North State. I will be your tour guide this evening as we take a somewhat satirical journey down the path of murder. Murder, I tell you. Destruction, mayhem, and the extermination of human life on this planet. A forced march, oh boy, into obsolescence thrust upon us by a global satanic death cult of pedophiles. That's exactly what it is, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Please check out the newly revised anomicage.com. And give me a little grace on this one because it's not in its final form quite yet. It's like 95% the way it's going to look right about now. But this is the new and improved anomicage.com. It looks exactly like this. Pardon me. So if you got the app, it'll look new too. So we got the iPhone app, the Android app, the subscribe by email link, and so much more right there at anomicage.com. New and improved. The links are all a little bit different. All the interaction is a little bit different. So please check out anomicage.com if you've not already done so. Shout out to all those folks in the Patriots Prayer Network listening to me and following me or whatever you happen to be doing out there. Thank you for that. And of course, my loyal listeners, my minions of darkness all over the globe in the Anomic Age. Man, we're going to delve into what exactly the Anomic Age is one of these days pretty soon. I've done it so many times on the show, but I kind of forget that there's new listeners all the time that have no inkling, clue, or greater understanding what the Anomic Age actually is. It's not the Atomic Age. No. Oftentimes people say that, and it just ain't so. Anyway, I say all that to say this. Goodness, check out anomicage.com, the new and improved 95% in its final form. I'm still in lovely deliberations with all those people that do all that stuff on the back end. Well, it's really just all me. It's kind of the the people behind the curtain that make the things work correctly. Good grief. I'm trying not to even talk about it because I've been dealing with it for days and days and days and days and days. Shout out to Maria. Thank you so much, Maria, for your help. Thank you. That's all I'm going to say. If you're listening to this, thank you. If you're not, still thank you. You've been a great help to me in this endeavor. Anyway, you know the deal, right? Let's check it out. This is what the graphic looks like this evening, courtesy of yours truly. That'd be me. I took a old graphic and made it oh so much better, so much more applicable to what we got going on today. 2025, excuse me, good gracious, 2026 year of our Lord. What is the final date here? We are at March 3rd. Oh my gosh. March 3rd, is it really? Woo, March 3rd, 2026, year of our Lord. Anyway, thanks to yours truly. I've updated, revised, and otherwise reinvigorated that old graphic and made it new again. Changed everything about it except for the ladies, and they're really in love with that wonderful death. That's right, folks. That's exactly what the American public seems to be into. In love with that wonderful death. And I want you to can I put it on the big screen? Can I do that? I think I can. Let's big screen it. No arrest, no improved economy, no America first, just empire expansion and global police state. No wonder war outsells all other products. It's a fact. Indeedly do. It certainly is, folks. It is a fact. War, as the great Gerald Celente always says, when all else fails, they take you to war. And that's exactly where we are, folks. That is exactly where we are. So now we're going to fight Iran. And I guarantee you at some point in tonight's broadcast, I'm going to have that Freudian slip and say Iraq. But in fact, it's Iran. It's that old 80s song, and I ran so far away. Good grief, I wish there was somewhere to run to. Anyway, I guarantee at some point I'm going to say Iraq instead of Iran because it is Groundhog Day. We are living in the throes of Groundhog Day over and over and over again. It's Groundhog Day, folks. But rather than being in Iraq and the WMDs and the weapons of mass destruction and Freedom Prize and everything, here we are, 2026, year of our Lord, and we're running that same old play. Same play, different guy, same play. Same old stinking play, isn't it? I swear. It's just so disgusting. And I've tried more and more in the last year for sure. I think I've always been very measured with this show, but definitely in the last year, I've really tried to be even more measured. I won't say premeditated, but just sort of sit back and cogitate on it a little bit. Just sit back and watch the wheels go round and round, as John Lennon once sang. Just sitting here watching the wheels go round. Because oftentimes, when something this idiotic pops off, and I've done this in the past, I'll put out a show just like immediately. Like, oh my gosh, we're going to war with Iraq. Oh, Iran. We're going to war with Iran. Oh my gosh, let's jump out there and put out the show. Because this is what's so dumb about the social media landscape and everything. You know, it's one of the many obvious things that's so dumb about it. It's just that, everybody wants to be first. Oh, it's breaking news. Everything's breaking news. Nothing is breaking news really anymore. It's all regurgitated horse manure. So very little, if anything, is actually breaking. But there was definitely a time where I think I was more like, oh, I got to put something out, And I think it's much better just to sit back, watch the wheels go round, cogitate, germinate, and maybe even masticate on it just a bit. Just chew on it a little bit. Let's see what this is like. Let's see what this tastes like. Let's see how this really distills down. And that's kind of what I did with this whole shebang. Because as soon as this popped off, I was just like vehemently disgusted. But I thought, let's pull back a little. Let's wait on this. Let's just see. It's kind of what I did with the the Charlie Kirk thing, that operation. I kind of pulled back and waited a couple days on that one too. And I don't think it really garners anything to just rush out there and put out your 2 cents on it right when it happens, because in my humble opinion, it doesn't really change the numbers at all. Like, oh my gosh, I was the first person to talk about it. Like, who gives a flip, man? We live in such an asinine society It's far beyond the 15 minutes of fame, far beyond the 30 seconds, far beyond the goldfish mentality of about 3 seconds. That's pretty much where we're at right now as far as the media landscape. It could be the biggest story in the world, and it'll only be that biggest story in the world for about 24 hours at best. At best. So if they roll out the blue beam, if the little green men hop out of the flying saucer on the White House lawn and give everybody the high sign, that'll be the cool thing for about 24 hours till the next big thing happens. I mean, that's such a ridiculous event. It might last a couple days, tops. Guarantee it. And then it'll all be over. So I just kind of wanted to roll back a little bit. Sit back, relax. Have another drink, a few more pretzels. Turn on those Dallas Cowboys on your TV. Man, I love giving you a little bit of musical flair in the show as well. Music used to be at least pretty darn important to me. Now, me. Gave you a little Jello Biafra vis-a-vis those dead Kennedys. I couldn't, I could resist, but I shan't. I couldn't resist taking this time to talk about and make fun of the dead Kennedys. They're not really the dead Kennedys anymore, but whatever you want to call them, the dead Kennedys without Jello Biafra, which isn't really the dead Kennedys at all. It's like Van Halen without David Lee Roth. Is it Van Halen? I guess so. I guess. Anyway, so the dead Kennedys were all up in a big stink because they weren't going to play some sort of big punk rock festival because allegedly the guy, girl, whatever you want to say, transvestite, whatever it was, that was putting on the event had donated to, was it ICE? Something like that. They either donated to ICE or donated to Trump or something. I don't know how the flip. Or if any of that was even true. But anyway, they were going on a jag and they weren't gonna play the show, and then they recanted, and otherwise changed their minds and said, "Oh well, there's a lot of people who really paid to see us, and we're not gonna let them stand there holding the bag." I don't know. It's falderall is what it is. It's comedy at best. Anyway, so. Somewhere, somebody's tapping their timepiece and going, "John, you've wasted our time and you've yet to talk about Iran." All right, let's talk about it, I guess. And I'll go ahead and preface by saying it's the obligatory Iran conversation, okay? Because whatever the newest big thing is, I first kind of reject it out of hand, and then I don't even want to talk about it, and I'm just kind of like, all right, fine, whatever. Let's delve into the doo-doo and discuss it, I guess. So let's talk a little Iran, I guess. Let's put the big picture up there. All right, so the obvious stuff that's gone on in the last few days. What have we lost? A few planes. I believe we're up to 5 military personnel. We could be higher than that right now. I'll be full on with you. I have not looked at this mess in a couple hours. I've been too busy doing like 10 other things at once while 10 other people are bothering me at the same time. But at least 5, I believe, military personnel deceased. We've lost, I think, 3 or 4 planes. I don't know. There was the big hoax that the USS, what the flip was this? Abraham Lincoln was gone down, and that was proven to be Boulder Dash, I guess. So, and Trump baby has declared war on Iran. I don't know if he's got congressional approval or if he's just sort of freelancing it. I don't even flipping know. I mean, if he did get congressional approval, that would be the first war that's gotten congressional approval since World War II. So I doubt it. We've just sort of been freelancing since the mid 1940s here in America. We just like, oh, well, we don't need to declare anything. Let's just go attack Korea. Oh, well, we don't really need to declare anything. Let's just go attack Vietnam. And on and on and on. We've been playing in this Middle Eastern sandbox since before I was alive. So I don't really care that we've gotten or not gotten congressional approval. Who really gives a stink at this point, you know? Oh, well. What else? We've managed to take out the leader of Iran. Okie dokie. So that's two different leaders that DJT has taken out here in, a couple months? Took out the dude from Venezuela. He's not muerto, but he's definitely in jail. And then we got this guy deceased. I believe that was via an airstrike. Who the heck really knows? That's the best part. Who the bleep really knows in any of this? It's all just one big thing, isn't it? So we've got that going down. And I believe the last thing I heard from old DJT is that we were going into this deal for 4 more weeks. Oh boy. Cuatro más semanas. Woo! Sounds great, doesn't it? 4 more weeks of this nonsense. But then I've also heard that many of the military leaders, if you can call them that, and many of the military leaders are saying, yo, we don't have the munitions for 4 more weeks of this. I don't know. As I always preface, I wasn't there. I have no security clearance to verify this. I'm just basing it on what everybody else is basing it on. The baseless accusations of those presidentes. Anyway, so I guess that's what I've heard through the grapevine. We don't even have the munitions to pull off a 4-week party in the sandbox. So I don't know. That's really more questions without answers. More questions without answers, folks. So, other things that you've probably heard. Of course, we're fighting this lovely handbasket for our greatest allies. Because, of course, our greatest allies, one of their greatest enemies is Iran, I guess. I don't know, folks. It's all just so stupid. So, of course, we're fighting this for our greatest ally. But wait, there's more. Because I've also heard this yarn being spun that Iran had already had plans to attack the United States, and that we'd uncovered a terror plot, multiple terror plots, that the Iranian government was going to attack the United States. Okay. My first question would be, how are they pulling that off exactly? Like, do they have the munitions to pull that off? I don't think so. I really don't. I'm not saying that they couldn't pull off terror plots. Oh my. But then again, who the bleep trusts any terror plots? Because we're the United States. We're like the queens of false flags. We're the grand poobah of false flags. So any terror plot that pops off here in the States, my first question is going to be, where's the CIA? Where's the alphabet soup agencies? My question is never going to be, oh, it's the patsy. It's the guy they told us it was. Because every time the proverbial they tells us anything, it's B to the S. From the underwear bomber to 9/11 to the first 9/11 attacks to the Alfred F. Murrah building, anything and everything that's ever been told to us has been a bunch of B to the S regarding anything like an attack. Any of it. There's a guy, I'm going to try to get him on it. I haven't even reached out to this person, but I saw a pretty interesting bit just the other day talking about the false flag of Pearl Harbor. And it went beyond the obvious, what we could all just understand and appreciate having just basic senses, that the Pearl Harbor deal was a standout. It went far beyond, it was just a standout. His research went into like the whole thing was false flag to the nines, like from the jump. It was way beyond what you already knew was bogus. Same thing with the main, the Lusitania. It just goes on and on and on. So whatever kind of attacks that we're going to have here, you can just bet your bottom dollar, your Federal Reserve note, that it's all to be flushed. The Vegas shooting, forgot about that one. Sandy Hook. Oh my gracious, what a load. I mean, it's just, it gets downright comical. It really does. If you just have a basic understanding of any of this, it's just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs time. Really is. Anyway, so apparently we're going to be diddling around over there for at least 4 weeks. So there's that. I'm trying to really reel myself in a little bit here because I'm not going to go crazy. Maybe a little bit. To quote the great Norman Bates, we all go a little mad sometimes. But man, when you're looking at this, it just, the whole thing stinks. The entire kit and caboodle stinks. I mean, this is clearly war for our greatest ally, the Tiny Hats Club. Again, I mean, good night, nerds. It just gets so nauseating having to say this so much, but obvious truth. What else is this? This is a lovely weapon of mass distraction, because what better way to get everybody's mind off the Epstein client list than to take us to war? What better way to get everybody's mind off the economy and the $100 a bag groceries we're all bringing home than let's go to war again? So there's all that. I mean, just kind of self-evident. I mean, it's just obvious weapon of mass distraction, obvious, just the magician, you know, putting his hand over here while his other hand's pulling a scarf out or what have you. Same old bull jive, folks. It's just so sick. So weapon of mass distraction, absolutely. Economy still stinks 100%. Oh, did you miss the shooting? The shooting in Austin, I think it was a day and a half ago at this point, followed up by another shooting in Ohio. Okay. So we're really in like prime real estate for a false flag, because in every false flag, there's always multiple different scenarios going on at the same time. I mean, if you want to go to the JFK thing, you know, there's the guy in the limo, it's his wife, it's the guy in the grassy knoll, it's the Cubans, it's LBJ, it's the mafia, it's dissident groups. I mean, just go on and on and on. That's typical for what we're in now. So typical for what we're in now, we're in a big bunch of distractions. So like, you're trying to get out of the house is on fire, dog's barking, you got your kid by the hand, you got your wife over your shoulder, what have you. You're trying to get out of the house, right? Meanwhile, you know, the Loch Ness Monster pops up and, you know, Elvis swoops in on a UFO or whatever. I mean, that's kind of where we're at, folks. That is exactly what's going on. It's distractions. It's distractions. It's distractions. That's what this is all about. I mean, good grief. I go back to myself, you know, playing war with all the neighborhood kids when I was a kid. And it's like, you know, lots of woods and houses and everything. Everybody's hiding, and always distractions. Always get everybody to look over here. You run over there, you know, grab some rocks, some little pebbles in your pocket, pick up some acorns, little pine cones. You know, when you're making your move or when you're hiding, if you can shoot those, toss those in another direction, you're going to get everybody thinking, oh, what was that over there? You know, what was that? Are they hiding over there? Is that just a bird? You know, distraction, folks. It's Sun Tzu, Art of War. It's basic warfare 101. You got to distract people. Sun Tzu would say, appear weak when you are strong and strong when you're weak. Deception. Deception is the name of the game. It's camouflage, folks. So we are in prime real estate for camouflage, false flags, the whole 9 yards. So at best, I would say buckle up for sure. But we got to talk about how this really fractures the country even more. Because I mean, that's kind of the obvious thing. I mean, we could sit here for like 2 hours and just talk about Iran, talk about the Shah, talk about all the connections of Iran 50 years ago versus now, and oh, they used to be free, and oh, we're really fighting for their freedom. I mean, I heard some yarn from DJT, and of course, all the talking head influencers on the right, and it was so hilarious. It sounded like GI Joe. It sounded like the old GI Joe cartoon from the early 80s, which was straight propaganda, by the way. That was 110% propaganda sponsored by the government. But if you never saw it, you should, because they slipped some gems in there, folks. There's so much programming in those cartoons. I mean, you can look at Transformers 2, because it's the same sort of program. I was going to do a whole show on this like 4 years ago, and it just became too taxing. I was like pulling cartoon clips and everything, and I just was like, man, this is going to be too crazy. But maybe I should do it again. But I remember those Transformers episode that was about what they called the Weather Dominator. I believe it was Transformers. I'm pretty darn sure. Could have been G.I. Joe. But the Weather Dominator. Both of the shows had very similar programming. Anyway, it was a device to control the weather. I mean, this was like 1983 or something, you know. Lo and behold, now what do we got? Now what are they actually revealing? Oh, I know. Geoengineering. Yeah. Chemtrails. They're finally coming out and admitting. I mean, they've been admitting it slow roll for about 8 years, and now it's like, oh yeah, we're geoengineering. We're trying to block out the sun. Anyway, so we could really go down the rabbit hole and look at Iran forever, but I really wanted to take some different views on this one because it's kind of so obvious. Like rolling out the show prep for this show, it was kind of like, man, what can I talk about that hasn't been talked to death by me on this show? But I mean, one of the clear things is just the fracturing of the American public even more. So we've been dancing in this retarded right-left paradigm, the Democrats and Republicans. It was Jesse Ventura once said, the Democrats and Republicans, blood cleanse or some else. I don't know. Anyway, quite true even for Jesse Ventura. But that's kind of what we've been dancing with for a long time. And it's only become more and more obvious over the years. I mean, this might really surprise people that are not in my demographic, like younger people, I suppose. But there was an actual time when politics wasn't that big of a deal. If you've known me for anything, I've been listening to a lot of Art Bell in the last, I don't know, month and a half. And I was listening to an old Art Bell recently from like, I think it was 1994. And he was talking about the Clinton election. It was like, you know, it was not there yet, but it was the buildup to the election, right? And there was a lot of people calling in, and a lot of people were just kind of saying, yeah, we're just bored with politics, you know, like that old Clash song, I'm so bored with the USA. And that was kind of the going theme at the time. It wasn't this visceral right, left, like kill your enemy kind of insanity that we're in today. It was really this sort of notion of indifference amongst the people. I think everybody assumed that the rapist and pedophile Bill Clinton was going to win, and who he was running against was kind of just inconsequential. It was like, well, you know, I don't care. You know, Bill's going to win, and the other guy, eh. So I think it's hard for people to really think about that there was a time when politics wasn't at the forefront of everybody's life. With that being said, like everyone's life wasn't run by social media. You weren't seeing ridiculous images all day, every day. And I'm telling you, like ridiculous, no matter what you're looking for, no matter what your algorithm is. I mean, it could be like half naked chicks. It could be the crazy Republicans, oh, those crazy conservatives, or it could be, oh, those crazy Democrats. I mean, it's like Yosemite Sam is the announcer for whatever it is, or if you're in my weird feed, it's like these weird people building stuff. You know, there's a guy building something. Building a a bunker out of tires and duct tape, or, like that sort of weird stuff. But that being said, like there's that sort of insanity just promulgated all the time. So people are always getting stirred up. But one of the obvious ones is the right-left paradigm. It's pulling people in the right, it's pulling people in the left. But I think what's really gone down in the last few months of the DJT regime is the fact that it's fracturing on a whole nother level, because it's fracturing on this level of not just right and left anymore, but what we're really seeing now is the right fracturing. And I'm not even suggesting that's a bad thing, because at some point, to get all biblical, you've got to try to talk to people, and then you've got to just knock the dust off your sandals, your feet, and just move on. And I think that's kind of where a lot of people are in the so-called conservative camp that would not classify themselves as Republicans, as neocons, or the dreaded boomer tag. Oh my gosh, seeing so much hate on the boomers. It's kind of just like, okay, you want to pin it all on them. Okay. People that have sat by and done absolute butt kiss for the last 50 years. Okay. Anyway, so there's definitely that. It's a fracturing of the conservative side for sure. And I'll get into that in just a minute. But we're seeing clearly the left is just staying crazy, I believe. But the right is fracturing. So if you believe in voting at all, and I don't know why you would at this juncture, but if you do believe in voting at all, that's going to really screw everybody that's of the right ilk, because you're going to have a really big demographic that is just throwing their finger up in the air and saying, forget about it. That'd be me. Forget about it. I mean, yeah, you've got the local and state elections going on right now, and I could not possibly care less. I mean, couldn't possibly care less. I care more about what my neighbor ate for dinner than the state elections or the local elections. Just don't care in the least. I did see, I don't know if this is accurate, I saw Dan Crenshaw apparently lost in Texas. Saw that, I don't know, hours ago. I don't know if that's true or not, and I don't really care. That's just the point of it all. Who the blip really blipping cares? It just doesn't matter. I mean, was Dan Crenshaw a boob and a fake concern? Yeah. Who cares? Who cares, folks? It's all who cares at this point. It's such a bunch of who cares. So we're seeing a real fracturing on that conservative line, I would say. And let me get into some of that, because I've seen so much of this lately. It's just downright hilarious. Let me see. I got some images for you. Let me pull this one up first. Before I go full bore on this whole fracturing of the conservatism, let's go a little bit on this one. Get out of here. This one. And this is just straight from the PNAC documents. This is straight from Rumsfeld, Cheney, Bush, those clowns. Wolfowitz. Yeah, all those idiots. This is from the PNAC documents, folks. This is where we were going to take out all these different countries. And here we are. Here we are on the last roundup. We're on Iran. Oh, boy. But still people are going, what are you talking about, a conspiracy? What do you mean? There's nothing going on here, John. Nothing going on at all. PNAC documents, folks. This came out basically the right before the 9/11, the September 11th attacks. Right before that. We need a new Pearl Harbor to galvanize public opinion. And I swear I've seen this more and more in the last few days. I've seen these people on the right saying legitimately quotes from the PNAC document. They probably don't know it unless they're just paid shills getting told what to say. But I've seen so much of this nonsense that goes a little something like this. It basically says, no matter what, if you're right or left, you got to get behind our troops now because we're in war with Iran. This is basically the sort of dung that I've seen so much of in the last few days. It doesn't matter if you're right. It doesn't matter if you're into the war. It doesn't matter if we're doing this for Israel. All that matters is now our troops are in danger. So you've got to stand behind them. What? Yeah, this is the legitimate mentality of some of these people. I'm not making this up. I should have pulled these quotes up just so I could show you their actual accounts, I guess. But I was like, no, that's actually not how it works. You don't just stand behind your government because they're your government. That's bull butter. That's very anti-constitution. That's very anti-founding fathers and all this other lore, if you will. That's horse manure, folks. You don't just go along to get along because, well, it's our government. They're just doing. If that were the case, folks, and I'm surprised no one has yet said this. I'm sure it's coming. But if that were the case, that would also be the excuse to not do butt kiss with the Epstein files, with the Anthony Weiner laptop information, for the Bill and Hillary Clinton scams. Because after all, they're part of our government. They're part of our government, right? So, these are our leaders, and we should just stand behind them no matter what. We should stand behind the government spying under Barry Soetoro. We should stand behind the threat fusion centers under Barry Soetoro. We should stand behind the Palantir spying under DJT because, after all, it's America, mom and apple pie in the land of the free. What a bunch of manure. That's really what's up, folks. What a bunch of manure. But wait, there's more. I gotta weigh in on this one too, because this one has kind of made me laugh a little bit in the last few days. I guess I should pull this down. It doesn't really matter. You get the idea. I've seen this all over the Twitter in the last few days. Because I guess the Hodge twins have somehow managed to hack off everyone on the right, which makes me giggle. And somebody else mentioned this, that the Hodge twins basically seem to have two different sets of posts. One that's more like a blue blood Republican jive on Facebook, and then more, hey, this is all bogus B to the S on Twitter. I don't know if that's legit or not. I really don't follow them enough to care. So before I even weigh in on this, I don't really care. It's the Hodge twins. They seem like good guys. I think I've got one of their shirts over there in the closet or something that somebody gave me. So I'm not talking trash on them. I liked them when they were just doing funny, like short comedic things on working out and like life advice to dweeb guys and stuff about chicks. Like that was pretty funny to me. And then during the Trump regime one, they came out as being conservative. I mean, I kind of knew their background. They were both military. They, I believe, were in Virginia, born and raised, not too far from here. So I kind of knew, okay, they're probably conservative. All right, great. Don't really care. This doesn't matter to me. But anyway, yeah, they apparently have really hacked off everyone on the right. No, the blue blood idiots on the right, which is really comical to me because this is what I've seen like all over the place. Not a single pedophile on Epstein's list has been arrested. True. But you get another regime change war in the Middle East to make Israel happy. True. I mean, there was another one that basically said that this was like the most embarrassing fall that they'd ever seen in a president. And I was like, again, true. Like what? When you look at the people that are upset about this, I kind of just have to think these people have to be the most tone deaf idiots of all time. Like they have really must have just drunk so much Kool-Aid that they are now like wasted on the floor. They must have an IV drip of the Trump Kool-Aid because it just doesn't make any sense to me, folks. It makes zero logical sense how anybody that would consider themselves America first and also doesn't want any wars could go along with anything Trump's really been doing since regime 2. I'd go back to regime 1 when he let the election be stolen, when he let all the January 6 people rot, all of it, folks, all of it. I'm not pulling any sacred cows out of the barn here, man. I mean, if you're full of prunes, you're full of prunes. All the way back to she'd be arrested, she'd be in jail. No, she wouldn't. Hillary's not ever going to jail, folks. That was the big thing that got him over the top during regime 1. Everybody thought he was legit. Like he was really he was bombastic enough to go after this wench, this bruja. But alas, no es posible. So here we are, 2026, year of our Lord. And, everybody's still hanging their hats on these ICE raids. Again, I feel like that's just a lot of camouflage. It's a lot of pomp and circumstance. It's a lot of media highlights. Oh, my goodness. The troops are on the streets in Minneapolis. Oh, my gracious goodness sakes alive. The troops are on their streets and whatever the flip, Come on, man. That's a whole lot to do about really nothing. Because, sorry, folks, we have not seen this floodgate of illegals exported from this nation as we were told that we would. We haven't seen anything like the Eisenhower deportations of darn near 60 plus years ago. So, I'm just going like, so what is it exactly that everybody is willing to bet the farm on? It blows my mind that people are still like, but he's better than Hills. He's better than Hills up Harris. Like, well, okay. But it's so hard to try to explain logic to illogical people. But yes, that is true. Okay. Yes. Got it. So, I mean, if you want to rationalize the irrational, you could be like, oh, well, my wife just cheated on me with that one person. Like, she didn't have like a, man, I'm trying to she did not have some sort of Greco orgy a la Febrer's thrown in the air and, everything from Valentine's Day, from Leprechalia. It wasn't like Leprechalia. She just fooled around with one guy, but wait a minute. She still fooled around with one guy. It doesn't negate the fact that the whole thing's a bunch of hooey now, okay? So just because Trump is better than Hillary and better than Harris does not mean that the whole thing is not a bunch of hooey. Does not mean that the economy still stinks. It does not mean that, okay, we've got all this tariff money and where exactly is it going? I should have pulled this up, but I just didn't. I just didn't care enough. But it's basically like, it's talking about the planes that have already been shot down, the American planes, and how many millions or billions that they're worth. Couldn't remember. And every missile is like X number of $100,000 or $1 million+ for every missile that we're firing over there. But you've got all these people online like, ooh, they're getting it now, Bo. They're showing these destroyers or what have you, just raining fire on whatever the target is. I don't even know if that's legitimate. I mean, that's where we're at. Might be a complete AI hoax. Might be something from Desert Storm 2. Bleep, I don't know. Okay. But, you've got all these people seemingly very excited, I'll just say that, about the fact that we're in a war again. Very excited that we're urinating away American lives, allegedly taxpayer dollars, $1 million machines and so forth. All that's getting flushed down the toilet, folks. But there's still people happy about it. I mean, that's what's so does not compute. The answer is non sequitur, like completely deranged here. It just blows me away. I just completely befuddled, flummoxed, and otherwise nauseated that this is where we're at. Like there's alleged conservatives going like, oh, go get them, Bo. It's like the same stupidity from Iraq all over again. I mean, all we're missing is Toby Keith. We'll put a boot in your hand, the red, white, and blue. That that bull jive from the Iraq nonsense 25 plus years ago at this point. I mean, that's where we are at. And as I often say, nothing changes but the date. Nothing changes. So, like, we're 25 plus years removed from that mess. But people have learned nothing. People apparently did not grasp, understand, or appreciate that was all predicated on garbage, lies. Want to go all the way back to the babies in the incubators. Remember that from the freaking Gulf War garbage? Yeah, that was like the diplomat's daughter up there giving that Tammy Faye Baker, or a more modern parlance, Erica Kirk acting job. Talking about babies in incubators being thrown on the floor. And of course, all the Americans were swept up in patriotism. And oh my goodness, let's go get them both. Same nonsense with Iraq, some 25 plus years ago at this point. We're going to turn it into a parking lot. We're going to turn them all into glass, boo. It's going to be crazy. But you got to think like, okay, well, that means billions of dollars, lives lost, time wasted, and exactly for what? Because I don't know if where you living is like I'm living, but the roads are atrocious. There's homeless people everywhere. Everything in every store is an arm and a leg. Income to go to do fun things. If you've got that, God bless you. I just laugh. Like, oh, I'm going to see this band. I'm going to see this sporting event. I'm going to like, what the flip are you working like for the mafia, or where are you getting this discretionary income? Because I don't got nothing like that. It's just being real with you. I mean, it's comical. But we still have people cheerleading for bombing some third world bleep hole that most people couldn't find on a map. And there's all the propaganda so hilarious. Everybody's inbred, they're Muslims. Okay, well, that's flipping great. Great. I just don't care. I really don't. I heard this laugh a minute piece the other day out of Asheville, North Carolina. Asheville, the rectum of the state. By far the most communist, bleeped up, hippied up, just complete refuse pit in the entire state. Bar none. This bleep hole, you've got, I guess, swaths of some big Muslim population in Asheville discussing how they don't feel safe. They don't feel safe. It's almost like a post 9/11 world. Ooh. Oh my gracious, goodness sakes alive, man. Just hilarious. Downright funny. If it weren't so sad. Let's see what else. We got more to get into. Let's get into a little bit more. Let me see. I don't know if I want to take you there now. I'm not going to take you there. I'm going to try to. I was going to do it this evening, but I just have way too much to do. I think I'm going to try to come on here with live shows following this show, at least sometimes, because it's so easy to sit here and just cover the bull butter for an hour, but there's a lot of stuff that I just really would like to get into that just it transcends the mundane of the usual disgusting delusions of the American people. But we might do that on another evening. Had to mention this one because it was just so darn funny. I swear. I had to mention this. I should have pulled the image up from, I think, about a month ago now. The Controlled Bunch. The Controlled Bunch, folks. Oh, man, the Controlled Bunch is hilarious. I might have that one pulled up pretty quick for you. Let me see. Anyway, while I'm looking for it, I'll talk about it a little bit because this was so darn hilarious. I saw a little bit of this, and again, I didn't really realize that this was a thing because I haven't watched InfoWars in forever, and I definitely don't watch Nick Fuentes. But I saw this hilarious bit. I say it's a bit. It wasn't comedy. Like, clearly, both of these individuals at least believed what they were saying or wanted you to believe that they believed what they were saying. You know what I mean? So that's how hilarious it was. Let me see. Controlled Bunch. There it is. Gracious goodness sakes, love. Thank you, Lord. Pull this one over here. Somebody needs to see this one again. If you've missed my episode on the controlled bunch, shame on you, because it was a dandy. Let's see if I can put this on the screen. The controlled bunch. Oh, yeah. The controlled bunch, baby. Yeah, I did a show. Good grief. Let me get this mess out of here. I don't need all this. I did a show at least about a month ago. Might have been more than that, but and it was about these lovely individuals on your screen, the controlled bunch. Man, that was a fun one. And we went through each and every person and just talked about how it was the biggest controlled bunch of horse pucky you've ever seen. So anyway, we had two of the participants in the control bunch. We had AJ, Alexander Emmett Jones, and Nick Fuentes. Nick was on AJ's program. I guess it was today. I don't know. I saw this today anyway. And it was hilarious. It was hilarious because they both almost got emotional. It was almost a tearjerker for everyone. I think Nick held it together better than AJ. And I don't care. I'm not making fun of crying people. That's not really the point. What I'm making fun of is the hilarious nature. It's just idolatry. I can't say it any other way. It's idolatry. That's exactly what this is, folks. It's idolatry. So you had AJ basically about break down there because he was, I mean, again, if this is real, great. I just see it all as a shtick. But he was about to break down because he was coming to grips with the fact that it was all a con, hustle, a dodge, and a scam. A bunch of horse bucky from stem to stern. It was a lie. He was finally at least dipping his toe in the water of reality. What most people right of mouth that are not in the blue blood conservative Republican Fox News clan have known for a long time now, that this is all a bunch of bull jive. So he was finally like, it was like ramifications, ripples in the pond. Oh my gracious. It's all just, I can't believe it. It's just crazy. I can't believe Trump's doing it. Yeah, I guess like everyone else figured this out long ago, but AJ allegedly is finally coming to grips with it. It's just comical. It's comical. And then you got Fuentes kind of like in the same boat. Fuentes is saying, we all got to vote for Democrats. That'll show. I'm like, man, I got no words for any of this, except it's a scam. Maybe that's legitimate. Maybe it's legitimate in the sense that this is somehow news to them. I just don't buy it for a second. I do not. Nobody can be that stupid. I'm sorry. I mean, I say that, and then you look at the general public that's kind of like cheerleading this stuff and like Fox News is the answer. Oh, I'm watching Tucker later. Oh my gosh. Dan Bongino's still going to get him somehow. I mean, like there's a whole sect of the populace that is just flipping gone. Like gone in the sense that they will do anything. You know, whatever the mental gymnastics of I can't think of that chick's name. The mental gymnastics of Mary Lou Retton is what these people are going to just keep on doing. I guess it's just unbelievable. Like Mary Lou Retton level gymnastics is what a vast majority of the right is doing in order to somehow cope with the flipping nightmare that we're in right now. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, it's all psychology. So when you look at like the normalcy bias and the groupthink, Stockholm syndrome, like all these things are very real. But when you look at them outside of that basic psychological context and look at them in the greater context of the society, the culture at large, that's when it really makes more sense to me. That's when it's like, oh, this is super interesting stuff. So the groupthink, all that is what we're seeing here out of the right. Like no matter what the flip Trump does, I mean, he could for real, he could get a wood chipper and just start tossing babies into it on Washington Boulevard. He could be doing that at Pennsylvania Avenue, like in the middle of the road, daytime. It could be simulcast on every channel, so you are forced to watch it. And I swear to you, there would be people out there normalizing, standardizing, and legitimizing that. Guaranteed. It's just a guarantee. So if you really want to understand how cults work, you should really take a hard look at the last 10 years of American society. That's how cults work, man. I'm telling you. Every time one person gets into power, that cult of personality, if you want to get into the cult of personality discussion, you can look at Lenin and Stalin and Mao. You got to throw in JFK, Barry Soetoro, and of course DJT. These are just lightning rod cult of personality figures. Yeah, that's a real thing. It's not just a great song by the band Living Colour. The cult of personality. Cult of personality. Yeah, it really is, folks. But you should really, if you have no clue what I'm talking about, look at the last 10 years of our culture. You got to. Because you saw that tribalism like you've never seen it before with DJT versus Hillary. And then you saw the same thing with Biden and then the revenge tour, which is what we're in now. Trump's back, he's going to save us. Yeah. I mean, you got to look into the psychology of this. It's no different than Jim Jones. If you want to really look at that sort of stuff, that's exactly what we're in. It's cult of personality, and people are doing ridiculous gymnastics to try to cope with the fact that their reality is not what it once was. It is an anomic age. Okay. We'll cover that perhaps on the next show. We'll just take like 10, 15 minutes and just delve into what that's about. We'll go into the Emil Durkheim stuff. I'll pull some books off the wall. We'll read definitions for you, whatever. But I mean, you got to look into this because it's so true. That's what we're living through right now. The COVID hoax was another great psychological warfare, a psyop, a test. And if you look at the COVID psyop, that was a test to see just how gullible, stupid, and moronic the American people were. Flowers for hours now, walking through lines and stuff, the whole 9 yards. And I think in many ways, that could be the pretext for this mental gymnastics that everybody's doing. Because you already know what's up with the left. The left's, you can't fix stupid. They're just bumping into walls and stuff, wearing special ed helmets. I mean, I feel you. The left is beyond help. Okay. Bye-bye. Kick the dirt off sand and move on. But then you got to look at the right as well, because they seem to be equally stupid, just in a different direction. Equally stupid in, whatever it takes to cover our butt, whatever it takes to make us feel like it's going to be all right. Mary Lou Retton mental gymnastics to pull this crap off. It's just unflipping believable. I mean, you got grown men up there about to cry because their demigod, their hero, is being revealed for what everybody kind of thought all along. But the real rubber meets the road litmus test of this whole thing is now what? That's why the whole last episode was who cares? It could have been called Now What? Because everything is being revealed. It's all becoming prima facie. Now what? That is the real question, the enduring question here. Now what? Because now everybody on the right can't say, well, our guy's the best, He's the best. No, it's a complete bleep show, folks. Jason Whitlock, shout out to him on his show, often talks about idolatry. That's what this is. It's idolatry. It's people going into that cult of personality psychological break and putting someone or something, but in this instance, someone as their God, as their demigod, as their savior. I mean, you had people doing the same B to the S with Fauci and DJT during the COVID hoax. But you really have this resonance of like our hero is going to save us. Cult of personality idolatry from the people on the right now. It's really nuts, man. It's super nuts. And really, this is where you get that sort of cult mentality. This is where people outside looking in look at and examine these cults like Jim Jones, Heaven's Gate. I mean, there is a plethora of cults in the late 1800s, if you want to look into that and really go down that rabbit hole. But people will objectively look at it from the outside and go, oh my gosh, these people are crazy. Nobody would ever. Okay. Hey, were you wearing that slave shackle around your face? Were you one of those DAs that took the vaccine, were you walking in the line in the store and making sure you followed all the little rules? Okay. It's very easy to say, I would never, until you do. So I'm going to give these clowns on the right a little bit of grace and say, hopefully, they can come to grips with reality and try to understand, like, yo, it's just another war for our greatest allies. It's just another little bit of the old in out, a la Clockwork Orange. That's what this is, babe. That's really what this is. And it's unfortunate that we're going to see American lives lost again. It's really unfortunate. It's also unfortunate that we're urinating away so much money. But again, after all, it's all just fake ones and zeros that they can just put in a little computer keyboard, and that's all it is. So that's kind of inconsequential, except for the folks that believe that it's money and believe that our taxes go to pave the roads and do skews. And yeah, that's complete bollocks. But there's people that still believe it. So one thing I wanted to talk about, one more, let me see. Got a lot more actually, but I'll try to keep myself concise. Well, I'll just leave you on a cliffhanger. I'll leave you on a cliffhanger on this one because, I could talk about this whole thing for a long time. But then we'd have nothing to talk about on Thursday. So, it is what it is, folks. It is exactly this. In love with that wonderful death. That's what we're seeing, folks. Except this time the chickens are coming home to roost. This time the death is going to be our death. I would hate to say it, but I believe we're going to see some attacks here on American soil. It's probably going to be our own government, but they'll claim it's some sort of Muslim terrorist, jihadist, some sort of horse like that, I saw this one hilarious note. People in Israel or Tel Aviv or something, and they weren't letting any of the goyim into the shelters. Oh my gracious, such a shock. Like the same loving culture that spits on Christians and laughs at us being goy. The same culture won't let Americanos in the bunkers with them. Guess they're unclean. Gracious. It's all such a joke, folks. It's all such a joke. I'm going to talk about this more next time, but I'm going to close on this one because I don't want to leave everybody half empty a glass. Nay. One thing I want to say with this, folks, try to put all the nonsense out of your mind. You got to take time for thyself. To thy own self be true. Put the bull butter out of your mind. Get out. It's getting horribly hot here in NC again. I hate it. But get out while you can before it gets really hot and you just want to die. Get out while you can. Take the shoes off. Walk in the grass a little bit. Don't walk in the grass if you're dumb enough to put weed killer on there and the stuff that turns the frogs freaking gay. Don't do that. So make sure you got some clean grass. I would recommend not going to a park or any sort of public venue, or especially if you're in some sort of workplace environment. Don't go to their grass because you can guarantee you that stuff's glyphosate all day. And it'll turn more than the frog to gay. You know what I'm saying? So don't go there. Try to go somewhere maybe in your own property. Take the shoebies off and dip your little tootsies in the water. Walk around, get grounded a little bit. Just stop thinking about all this darkness. Because believe it or not, the world's actually not a terrible place. You got to stop buying into the barrage of boobs, bull, and buffoonery propagated, promulgated, and otherwise duplicated. All across social media, the mainstream media, the print media, comic book media. Who knows? You got to stop dwelling in that darkness. Dwell in the light a little bit. Because contrary to popular belief, the world's actually a pretty good place. Probably not if you're in Iran right now. But a lot of other good spots in the world that aren't mucked up yet. So just try to take that in. Breathe in the good air, breathe out the bad. Put your little feet, y pies in la tierra. And enjoy a little bit. Because you can't do everything, but you can do something. Get out there, do your part, make a difference, and I'll be seeing you sooner than later. In the Anomic Age. Go check out the new site. Be a subscriber. Talk to you soon. Thursday, 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be seeing you sooner than later in the Anomic Age.
Thank you for listening to The Anomic Age, a John Age project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to anomicage.com. That's ANOMICAGE.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to The Anomic Age.